Alright guys, let's continue swapping this over. So we had this all taken apart. We have those plates on there. Very interesting. But now we need to get this taken apart. So our first step with that, removing this shell. And then we can go ahead and hold this upside down by the sink. Just unscrew this, let it all drain out. And when some of it has come out already, we can then take this one off while it's still upside down. Opening that side up will allow air to go in and should drain it all pretty easily. So that's what we're going to do now, and then obviously take our faceplate off, remove the two sides of the shell. I'm not going to get into too much detail since we just finished putting this together. It's very simple. It comes apart like the other Xbox. We just need to unplug our fan, a few other things, and then just slowly take everything off so we can slide this motherboard out, because we need to use this metal frame, of course. It already has the cutout for the radiator, reservoir, I think there's a couple other things. Then we need to take our 3-pin soldered on the motherboard, swap that over to this one, as well as the water block, and then just put it all back together. Okay, so we can't swap this board over to this one. This is a Hitachi. This is a Samsung drive. So I think since I have both pieces that broke off on the corner, we're just going to try to glue it back together. And this middle part, you can see, just kind of flops around. So those corner pieces have to hold the whole thing together. Alright, so we got the other one taken all the way apart down to our water block. I'll probably still take the little heat sinks off, put them on this one. So now we just need to take the water block off. I'll probably have to go and get longer screws because we have that plate on there. It's going to add about that much, and these screws are pretty much the exact length just to go through the motherboard to the block, so they'll have to be longer. Now the disk drive, I just threw a bunch of stickers on it to cover up the crappy condition underneath for now. I do plan on taking those off and just actually painting this, but for now I just threw random crap on there. So we got the bezel on here. I glued on the two corners here. Now since both are broken off, the whole middle wasn't connected to anything, so the part that lowers down to allow the tray to come out, which is all over the place. So I lined up the best that I could. Luckily, they pretty much broke in one section. It's not like little pieces came off everywhere. They fit on there pretty well. It was very thin though, and I don't think I had the best super glue, but I kind of reinforced it with a little bit of hot glue as well. And especially with the metal case on, I don't think they're going to go anywhere. So that looks good. We put it back together. I also took the rubber band out to soak it in hot water, then cold water, just to get it stretchy again. And we'll need to test that fairly soon. I'll still plug it into the other motherboard. Just make sure it pops in and out. And if I put a disc in, it starts spinning. And hopefully that's all good, so that I don't have to buy a new DVD drive, because like I said, I don't have any other of this exact style drive. I have a whole bunch of BenQ and Lite-On, and obviously the other one is Hitachi, wherever I put that one, the one that was in this build. So yeah, let's go ahead and pop these out. And then the last thing we got to do to this other board, we're going to take this 3-pin off and just solder it onto that one, and then we'll start putting it back together. Alright, we got the old board all taken apart, got the water block taken off. So yeah, as you can see here, these are the screws that will go through the motherboard and attach the water block on. And obviously I'm going to need ones that are quite a bit longer to go through the plate, and then there's that much space, and then the motherboard, and then it'll go into the block. So I'll have to go to the store at some point and get some longer ones, or see if I have some that will work. In the meantime, as you can see, I already took this heat sink off. That's this one back here. It just sticks right on. We're also going to put our silver ones on and get those cleaned up. Put a very small dab of paste, and that'll stick those on. But in the meantime, I'm going to go clean these off with a Q-tip and some isopropyl alcohol. Get the whatever little bit is left over, get it cleaned off. And then we need to take our 3-pin, desolder it from this board, and just transfer it over to that one. And then we can go ahead and do the water block and start getting this thing back together. So there's our pin out there. Red is the 12-volt positive, black is ground. So we just need to take it off this one, swap to that one. And now, like I said, this board does seem to be in a lot better shape. This one has just a lot of little corrosion and stuff around here. Some of the capacitors actually have rust on the top. I don't see any of that on this board, which is nice. Now, another thing I saw I'm not a fan of, that plate there looks a little bit bent. Like that one screw there got tightened way too much. So definitely want to take that off, see if we can get it flattened out to fit right. If not, I don't know. I'm hoping they didn't put like the same thing they did on that other plate, some kind of sticky whatever. If not, I might just move this one over to here. It'll still fit under the drive, so that's no big deal. Alright, so next thing we gotta do here, in the middle of making this video, I ended up getting some pretty bad food poisoning, so a little late finishing this video. But anyway, next thing we gotta do here is these holes. We're gonna have to drill them out just to be a little bit bigger so we can fit the screws all the way through the metal case, like how they had it on the other frame there. And then we'll be able to, I think I want to use these screws. I'll have to go and get a few more, but I think these should be the right length. As you can see here, these are the ones that would be used to install the water block just through the motherboard. But now we need to go through the metal frame as well. And I think these being about another 1/4 inch longer should do the trick. So we'll have to drill those out. Then I'll go and have to go to Ace Hardware, get a few more of these. And I think I want to see if I can find another kind of spacer I can use for between that metal plate and the board. Before I showed, they just stacked a whole bunch of washers, like 5 or 6 on each one, and they don't really stay in place, so some of them have already fallen out. So we'll go and get that taken care of. That way we can officially put this block on. We'll get the thermal paste. We've already got our wire soldered on there, and then we can secure this to our frame. And basically from there, all we got to do is put everything else back on that I've already shown in the build of this video. Putting our reservoir right here, tubes going through here. As you can see, I was able to leave like all this in place. I had to take this out, even though the reservoir itself wasn't in the way. The way I had it attached stuck out just a tiny bit, and then this would just get stuck on there. So I just took the whole thing off. It's pretty easy to put back on. But let me go ahead and drill this out, get the water block on. Once we do that, I will be comfortable to at least turn this on to test, at least enough to make sure our disk drive is glued back together right and will open and close for us. So, alright, got these 4 done, just showing the difference here, which is going slightly bigger. Very easy, since these are basically pilot holes. And this will be just enough for the threads of the screw to fit through, but the top will be locked in. That's why I like the idea of using those countersunk screws I had, so they'll still be flush along the bottom. They won't be sticking out like the ones that the previous person used on the other frame there. They use regular giant screws, and I feel like there should be plenty of room between this and the case, but if there was any, pressure on that, it's gonna cause things to move around, so this will be perfect. I'm gonna get these 4 done, and then we'll get the water block on. Alright, we got this installed. I went ahead and found some screws I already had that worked perfect. Threw on our small chipsets here. It's possibly overkill, but I had them, so we're putting them on. Now I'm going to go ahead and get our DVD drive wired up, get everything else ready for this to at least test and make sure our disk drive is working good. Then we can put the rest back together. Alright, got it plugged in. There we go. Alright, so looks like it's not quite closing all the way. See if we can clean those tracks off, but it is at least going in and out, so we know that works. I can hear it spinning on the inside, so we do know this works. It just needs a little bit more tweaking. With how broken it was in the back, obviously there's just possibly the tracks are a little bit off, so we'll just have to double check that. This is turning on, blinking 4 lights, not plugged into a screen obviously, and fans are working. You can hear them kicking up pretty quickly, so we know that this probably heats up pretty quickly, especially this is the 1st gen system, so that's obviously going to happen. But we know that this cooling system, tested on the other system with the temperature display, is very efficient, so once this is all together and has fluid in it, I'm not worried about it. So that's what we got for now. Next video, we're going to make sure that you can get this to close all the way, read the discs, and start putting all the stuff back together. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I don't eat any more food from a mall food court, and we'll get the next video up pretty soon. Like, comment, subscribe.